Alright, it's Beard making another team overview. Today it's going to be Susan and Jubei, like I said it would be like 3 months ago. This team overall I think is a very solid team with just a couple flaws here and there, but I think it can absolutely work at a lot of levels, as Jubei can help plug up most of Susano'o's problems in neutral thanks to Shiranui, right? Because, boom, you do that. If they're trying to zone you out, you just move through it while invincible. And you obviously have different, ways you can move around in neutral. So Jubei is able to play around characters who want to keep away really well, because he has so many different ways of dealing with them. And well, then you get in and you get to start enforcing, like 50-50s with that kind of thing. So overall I think it's a very solid team, but I guess I need to go more into why. Starting from Susan's side, you don't really get a ton out of Jubei's assist. The fireball's alright, 5p is pretty good, 4p exists, it's not really useful. You have to be careful about how you use his 5p in combos though, since the final hit will drop after 6 seconds. Jubei's 6p creates some interesting dynamics in Susan's pressure in mid-screen as well, right? It's not as good as Jin's 6p is for it, where you get to do like that, and then they're blocking forever, and you go up and hit them again. But it definitely gives you more access to different tools in neutral, since you have the threat of a slow approaching fireball. Adds an extra threat to a strike throw situation, because if they wait too long, they just have to get hit by that. Jubei, on the other hand, very much appreciates Susan's assists. Obviously, you have 6p. Susan's 6p is super good. It lets you run up to people from full screen and start getting a situation going. Jubei is unique, however, in that just holding forward like this is a very viable option in neutral with this character in a lot of matchups, because he runs underneath so much. So if I, boom, I can, run up more safely, and I can also run up and force a 50-50 like that, which leads into more 50-50s if they block it, and a combo if they get hit. Right, so there, with just one assist, we already have some pretty strong precedent. You can also do like 6p, Shiranui, CC, and then 6p. They can't really push block their way out of that situation. And it's good because if they, normally what someone will do when they see these is they'll start jumping. But if I've got them locked down with that, they can't jump anymore. They can't, avoid the situation. Then I pop CC, and now they're holding 50-50s. Susan's 5p, you just kind of use like that. If they're not going to avoid it, just do that and 50-50. Get them with the side swap stuff. The main problem with this, compared to like some of Jubei's best teams, is obviously that you don't really have an assist in the way that like the Hakumen, the Wald, the Naoto team do, where you just 2-3-6 P B A whatever Shiranui you want to do, and it'll just stay out the whole time you're doing that. so they have to play really carefully around it. You don't have that, but what you do have is some of the most obnoxious offense of any Jubei team once it's moving, because not only do you get super high damage, you get hit by that right there, that's like 8 to 9k just because you got hit by a 50-50. Right, because you go into Susan, and then you obviously get Susan's Oki game and tons of corner carry, so it ends up having some of the most ridiculous moving offense, though it will have one problem, which is burst safety. Right, because since you don't have an assist like Hakumen or Walds that stays out, you have to burn your assist bar to set the situation up. So, get ready to do quick cash outs where, you maybe just go into super immediately. And then finally, Susan's 4P. Susan's 4P is pretty good for Jubei, because Jubei's anti-air is not the best, and his air-to-air isn't great either. He just more prefers to not have people in that space to begin with, but if you're in a situation where it's unavoidable, that's a pretty nice assist to have. As for your more specific synergies with this team, which is where I think a lot of the strength of it shines, you get, first off, the big one, you get an unblockable. It's not like as amazing as, say, the Carmine or the Aegis one, which go into a ton of damage consistently. This one only really goes into a lot of damage if they get hit by the God Press, because then you get to do this and get like 8k. But whereas if they take the Fireball, it's only like 5k, since you can't confirm that into that. You have to confirm it with 5A. So the reward's not like as amazing off of that, but the thing about it is, once you get someone to the corner with Jubei and you get, going into a combo, you end, and then you go into that. You've now done forced sandwiches, so you did an unblockable off of a Susan combo, confirmed that into a forced sandwich, which you can then confirm into a dead character no matter how much health they have. Right, like even 20Ks are probably dead there. So you get some insane moving offense, right? Your ability to get the offense moving from Susan Point's not great, but once it is moving, it's incredibly hard to stop it. Obviously, when you get someone in a sandwich, you get the 236B active switch where he keeps charging it, which you confirm in CC. That confirms like 10k on active switch. Right, and it's super hard to burst. Right, so if I, boom, they get hit by that. That's GG's for most characters, right? That's 31 damage off of 10k, and that's without a DHC. This team also, like I mentioned earlier, you get to run up under the 6P. And if they block the first one, you get to set up a sandwich. And they cannot react to that. That is not a reactable mix-up. Because they're getting hit on like frame 15 if you're actually side-swapping. Which falls well into the realm of unreactability. And it's further bolstered by, obviously, Jubei just being able to run under so much stuff. Well, this team does have one issue with its unblockables, specifically in a mid-screen sandwich situation, as Jubei actually goes over crouching characters when he does this. And Susan will shove them under him too fast for it to hit on most characters. However, you are presented a very unique situation compared to other teams, because I can do that and have the Grand Viper auto confirm whether I go high or low, which is great because that's a frame 18 overhead, which is hard to react to. And if I spin the meter, it's just straight up unreactable 50-50 that auto confirms while being pretty hard to burst, which is a really strong situation, even if it's not an unblockable like a lot of the other teams get. You obviously get unblockables in the corner because you can do that, which, you know, leads into pretty decent damage because you can actually just go straight into Black Panther and then 2C and Black Panther again, and you get pretty good damage from it. But in the mid screen, you will have to be mindful of exactly your spacing, so you can, you know, do things like that to force 50-50s and get your hits. Though honestly, part of where I think this team shines the most is going to be in its overall matchup spread. Jubei covers most of Susan's bad matchups. Only ones who he doesn't really do much for is going to be like probably 9. But a lot of his other matchups that really just want to, you know, hard zone him out and keep Susan away aren't going to be able to do that well against this team because you have Jubei. So you're able to approach really easily, which gets Susan in, which can completely change a game on a dime, right? Whereas a lot of Jubei's bad matchups are characters who like to just press big buttons in neutral. Like, you know, your Waldstein, your Ruby, those characters. But Susan can check a lot of them because he also has big buttons he can contest them with. But his big buttons go into a lot more damage. So it covers both sides matchups pretty nicely. Probably the only outlier being like 9, because 9 is 9 and that character just kind of exists to torment Susan players. Overall, I think this team is actually super solid. I think if this team had a good Shiranui plus assist, that alone would make me think that it's like one of Susan's best teams, but the lack of that particularly is what I think hurts it the most. Because both characters tend to cover the other one's problem matchups pretty well, as well as they are able to enforce ridiculous offense when they get moving. It's just getting that offense moving can be a struggle sometimes, since you don't have something like a Hakumen 6P or a Wald 6P to just, you know, enforce everything for you from Shiranui without you spending resources. Definitely think it's a team that is worth playing if people want to, because you can absolutely get some wins on pretty much anyone with it, I think.